Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Cafe La Mama Online. My name is Denise Greber, and I am the curator of the La Mama Puppet Series program. Tonight, we are presenting Jumpstart, a works-in-progress presentation. This presentation will feature 6 of our resident artists who are also puppeteers. This program is funded in part by Cheryl Henson and the Jim Henson Foundation. La Mama and all the artists involved are so thrilled and appreciative to be part of this program. Tonight, there'll be 6 presentations, and they will be followed by a chat and a talk with all the artists involved. So please stick around to the end and join us. Enjoy the show.
Do you know what gravity is?
I thought you were the only one who knew that.
Quite right, but I'm about to tell you. Gravity is the response matter makes to the loneliness of space. It's love, you see. The love that moves the stars. The stars.
Bring it in. That's the force. The gravity of heavenly bodies is the love that I activate, subtle stepping into the party. We come together, watch the lonely void vanish. I pull it to me like a moon toward a planet. Life imitates art. If you understand it as I demand a deeper meaning while I'm playing my part, I gotta be present and step into the moment. Say I'm going supernova when my star's exploding. Though the galaxy is vast, I stay on that ass. Relative to the active gravitational mass, how do I actually manage to stay on smash? Operating out another metaphysical class. That's essential. And dues I sent through, contributing to my awesome potential.
Imagine an open stage with 2 large upright frames hung with cream-colored fabric. Intricate silhouettes cast shadows on these screens from within throughout the story. A spell is cast. The combination of paper cuts and performers' bodies create an interplay in this contemporary, lo-fi, space pop musical.
With celestial energy, but am I coming to love or is it coming to me? That's the ultimate power. The ultimate power. The ultimate power. It's the end of winter when I tip back toward the light. Stop crying and jump back on the mic. The loneliness of life sometimes is ripe. It gets dark, but stars shine in the night. There's a point when the sunlight won't suffice. Fortune is a lady you will love all types, and the power to create can take over your soul. Oh, what I have made, look upon and behold. No, thou craftsmanship trumps glitter and gold, and the energy manufactured realizing a goal is a cosmic gift. So honor its wish, make a noise unto with a grateful pitch of love, cause that can move stars. Venus love Mars, that can move gods. So we should go forth, cultivate.
These ordinary objects. Somehow I can't stop my mind from immediately wandering away to what could be, not what it is. This. A standing bathtub for a fairy. How delightful. And I'm off. It's gonna rain. She sets it out, the mug, the tub, to collect the precious water as it falls from the sky. She stirs it with her twinkling wand, and it begins to steam. Giggle, giggle, test the water. One delicate toe. What does a fairy's feet look like? If you hear a song in your dream, is it from your own mind? Or is it a cosmic frequency that you're tuning into? Are we psychically connected to strangers hearing their songs?
All my life, I never spent a moment disbelieving. Never thought I'd ever have to leave them. Never thought I'd ever have to go. All my love came from those who gave me what I needed. Anything can be if you can dream it. At least that's what my mama told me so. Then came the man who deceived them the most. All of their plans quickly went up in smoke. Now here I am, quickly turning to stone. Lost in my head is the only place to go, but I'm not scared. Every kingdom must fall. I'm not scared. In my dreams I recall I'm not scared. Every kingdom must fall. I'm not scared. In my dreams I recall I'm not scared.
As the Secretary General of the United Nations, an organization of 147 member states who represent almost all of the human inhabitants of the planet Earth, I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet. We step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship, to teach if we are called upon, to be taught if we are fortunate. We know full well that our planet and all its inhabitants are but a small part of this immense universe that surrounds us, and it is with humility and hope that we take this step.
Voz de Dios cuando disparen. En la selva sea escuchada, enojada, rey de nada. Enemigo, asesino, marranito, trucha, tocino. Aquí los tienen amarrados, contentos pero bien drogados. Tengo alas, nunca se muevan. Quedaron quemadas y nunca vuelan. Revolución, cantada, luciente y bien amada. No me rindo, no mamen. Bajo de noche culebras salen, sin valor, la cara se esconda. Pinche culeros no saben la onda, despierta ya. No juegas, conciencias dejadas ciegas. Tengo cohete, voy a usarlo, pero todo de bueno y no de malo. Ya te dije, wey, no mames, puro loqueros, matadores locales, no lo jodes, me están guachando, pues quieren saber lo que está pasando.
Sonia, hace unos días me dijiste que querías para hoy que te preparara chatas con chimichurri, un puré de papa criolla y ensalada de aguacate para 40 personas. Y eso es lo que te estamos preparando ahora.
I asked my dear friend Alberto Quiroga a few days ago to prepare my final lunch. Ay, churrasco with chimichurri. A puree of papa criolla with an avocado salad for me and just 40 of my closest friends and family. I've spent the entire month eating my favorite foods, but in the end, for my last meal, I went very basic: meat and potatoes and a glass of Veuve Clicquot champagne.
Bien, ¿cómo estás? Estamos haciendo el chimichurri y vamos a mezclarle a este ajo que ya hemos picado. Vamos a mezclar a perejil liso en iguales cantidades. Pues echar a perejil liso. Vamos a echarle también orégano fresco. Pues está delicioso. Vamos a echarle un tercio. Vamos a echarle un poquitico más. A esto le vamos a echar sal, suficiente, un poquito de azúcar morena para calificar con el vinagre que le vamos a echar después. Picante, este es un picante amazónico que da un sabor un tris, como está secado el sol, esto está, vamos a echar vinagre de limón blanco, suficiente cantidad como para que eso.
For the chimichurri, they have chopped garlic, some parsley, fresh oregano, some salt, a little brown sugar, picante amazónico tostado al sol, qué rico. A good amount of white wine vinegar, a tablespoon of mustard, a little olive oil, and last, some pepper.
For the past year, I've been exploring this piece, Growing Not Dying. Since I've been making work from home, it has been such a joy to be in the actual theater space. For this residency, I divided the theater into 3 sections. It was for me to organize Act 1, 2, and 3. Ideally, these sections would be layered on top of each other, but I had to figure out the logistics of how and where to attach the strings to the ceiling and to the body parts first. These footages are my explorations from each of the acts. Act 1. Birth. The opening scene where the body parts are being born. I've been practicing how to move the object as if the object is the force behind the movement instead of the puppeteer initiating the object to move. Since this is a solo show, I wanted to investigate ways to create this illusion. Act 2, Memories. This section is an exploration with strings, creating moments and movement to showcase the story behind this main character. I have to develop more movement, but running has been one of the main movements I've been working on. As the body parts join, it will reveal the main character. Act 3, Passage. For the final act, I've been exploring ways that we as humans use ritual to celebrate and remember life, sharing moments of joy, sadness, and connection.
loud silence, the peaceful violence, the beautiful ugliness, the sweet stench of my habitat, infested with clumsy cats who lack agility, staggering through the inner city intoxicated, drunk off negative energy that saturates lost souls, leaving them soaked, reeking of that sweet stench. Irritated by the silent screams, I cover my ears to try to muffle the loud silence, but the silent screams come from within. The beautiful ugliness of my environment, my habitat, where bright colors are tinted with shades of gray, smothering the radiance of color. Darkness commits acts of peaceful violence on light, constant rattles of shackles and chains jingling and jangling in my brain. The loud silence, the peaceful violence, the beautiful ugliness, the sweet stench of sidewalks stained with innocent plasma, victims of peaceful violence. As I stand on concrete decorated with trash, cigar fillings, and broken glass scattered about creating a ghetto masterpiece, I look up into the sky and scream at the top of my lungs, a scream of the loudest silence, tired of the peaceful violence, the beautiful ugliness, the sweet stench of my environment, my habitat.
Wow. Thank you, Tarish, and thank you, everybody. That was really, really gorgeous to watch. Hi to everybody that's watching. My name is Chris Ignacio. I am, I work at La Mama, and I am going to host this talk back that we're going to have right now with all of the brilliant artists that you just saw. Just give a round of applause and snaps for everybody. That was amazing, and it was so nice to see live performance at the end of that too. Just so we all know, Jeghetto was live just then. I want to go around and just do some quick introductions. I will call you out, so you don't have to worry about when you're gonna go, and you can just tell us who you are, where you're zooming in from, and that's it. There's so much stuff to talk about. I want to talk about everyone's piece. So maybe we'll do that sort of as we get questions going. You'll be able to explain all about your work. But for now, let's just get to know who you are and where you're coming in from. And let's start with Denise and Federico.
Hi, I'm Denise Greber.
I'm Federico Restrepo.
And I helped curate this event and brought all these artists together. Again, as I mentioned earlier, through the support of Cheryl Henson and the Jim Henson Foundation. This is a grant program that was to give hope and inspiration and a platform in which to be creative during the COVID pandemic. And I think we have shown you just how wonderfully creative all of these artists have been. And I cannot say enough about how happy I have been these past 6 months spending time with everybody together and separately in the Zoom land, and for some of us in person a little bit, especially with this one here since we live together. But yeah, I think this has been it has just been a beautiful evening, and I'm so happy and so proud of everyone that's here, and thank you for sharing your art with us. And yeah, I don't know, you want to say something?
Well, I'm Federico Restrepo. I'm Loco Siete, dance puppet theater company, and I'm very happy to be part of this group. And it's been an incredible almost a year, seeing the faces of everyone and seeing the process of producing this beautiful work. And thank you to everyone here in this moment. That's what I can say.
Thank you, guys. And how about let's go to Leah.
Hello, my name is Leah Ogawa. I'm zooming in from New York City. I am a puppeteer
performer director, and I'm gonna say I did not make this show by myself. Denise Federico helped me since I was in the theater for a little bit, and then also John Chow that did the music, and then also helped me with all of the strings. So yes, hello.
Thank you, Leah and John. How about Charlotte?
Hi, everybody. I'm Charlotte Lily Gaspard of Midnight Radio Show. It's been really wonderful to be in community with all of you over these months. I also work with my art collective. Midnight Radio Show is an amazing team of like anywhere from 12 to 14 artists, some of whom you saw in my video. So I'm also want to just say thank you to everyone from Midnight Radio Show, all my dancers and songwriters and poets and performers for staying connected, even if it's in a virtual sense through this time.
Yes, so important. Okay, how about Rebekah?
Hi everyone, my name is Rebekah Crisanta Ybarra. I also use the stage name Lady Shock when I perform. I'm a interdisciplinary artist, and so the work that I was creating here was layers for music performance, in which I'll dance and play instruments in front of. And yeah.
Lady Shock. Okay, I was like, how am I gonna pronounce that? All right, good, thank you. Let's go to Tom.
Hi everyone, Tom Lee here, zooming in from Chicago. So amazing to be with this group of people at this moment, and also to have it being done from La Mama. That's where I started making my first work on this crazy planet. So to be with all these guys around here, so great. And yeah, thank you everybody who's tuned in.
Nice. And last but not least, Jeghetto Tarish, also with the cool frames.
Peace world, Tarish Pipkins, AKA Jeghetto, puppeteer, all around artist, honored to be here among greatness. And that's about it.
Nice. Okay, let's get started. We already have some questions coming in from the audience, but I'm gonna ask mine first, and then we'll get to the audience questions, and then I wanna give you guys time to ask each other questions, because I'm sure you guys wanna know all about each other's work. So I wanna ask Charlotte, how are you? So what we saw was a mix of like some live footage and some shadow puppetry. Is that how the show's gonna look? It's gonna be sort of mixed media?
Yes, correct. So even though I haven't been able to be in the same physical space with my collaborators, the show is going to sort of wander between three-dimensional performer body play moments and musical moments that are interacting with the shadows, and also in parts of the show will be all in worlds of shadows. So there's a lot of different parts to it, but and then the music is all original by my resident composers. So you got to hear the first song was written by Malik Work, who is also our resident spoken word artist and is writing some poems and spoken word pieces for the show. And then the last song in the boat, that's Jesse Davis, who's writing a lot of the tunes as well for the story. So yeah, it's going to be, some music in Shadowland, some three-dimensional puppets as well, and then dance and classic theater with like, human people also doing.
Nice. And was that sort of, that was sort of inspired by just the circumstances that we have to work in now, or was that like something you had designed, even before?
Both. It's sort of a natural progression in a way, because we've been playing, with mixing together live theater, music performance, shadow puppetry, and three-dimensional puppetry. But the shadow puppets are usually the puppets themselves are smaller, and so the stories would kind of go back and forth between being the shadow screen, and then some actors, and then the shadow screen, and then a song, and then the shadow screen. And this, I think, because of being in isolation and away from, physically separated from my team, the puppets became giant because I was lonely. And so then it was like about making puppets big enough for me to interact with. But I think it's really interesting. And it's something once we're soon together physically, we're going to explore that too, because I just love what it is with a human-sized shadow, a human having an interaction, then going to just shadows of live people, then just silhouettes, and like just exploring a whole combination rainbow of that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna switch gears because we have some really great questions, and I want to get to them. But and you basically touched on this, which is that someone from Facebook named Eli says that they want to hear the artist speak a bit on their individual approach to puppetry and or the context in which their show was created. So I feel like you just gave us a little bit of a taste of that. But maybe you can like end, with just how is this approach? Is this approach like, are you going to keep this going forward now? Did you discover something new about this way of working that you want to carry on into the future of your work?
I do feel like I did. I am the primary manipulator in our company, so I'm always directing the puppetry and often the performer doing the most of it. But it's interesting being alone, but still dreaming about having a cast. I think it's gonna be cool because I'll push my collaborators to come explore some of the things that I've been doing while I'm all alone. So yes, new giant puppets. And I've also been playing with crankies during this time, which is something I've never really used in my work. And yeah.
There's a whole cranky like website that I went down a cranky hole once, and then turns out there's a cranky festival, and it's like a huge like there's a whole community.
I actually attended the tiny cranky festival a few months ago, and with like Matchbox crankies. And I have to say that's one thing I always thought was really beautiful, but I couldn't really figure out how that can be appreciated by a live audience when you're making something so tiny. But once you're on Zoom, then you can just zoom in closer. So keep an eye out. I'll share some of that stuff soon too.
Nice. I want to talk to Rebekah for a second. Rebekah, your piece was super poetic and abstract and just visually stunning. And maybe while you're answering my question, you can also layer in about like how you're approaching puppetry and work. But my question specifically is, in your description, you say something about a prayer tie exoskeleton. Can you let us know what that is? Because I'd never have seen that word before.
Yeah, I experimented with that, but then I didn't actually show that. So I'm making this part as one layer in another performance that I'll be doing in June that'll also be online. And so the prayer tie exoskeleton is an idea that is in progress still. I tried it and it didn't move with the beauty of the work that you all have. I just don't think I have the skills quite yet to make something, but the hope is to make something that I can dance in and break out of as a sort of shell. And really the prayer ties are an extension of some of the work that I was showing there, which is an exploration of Wit-Kala threads that are central to my tribe's cosmovision, which is basically an idea of interconnectedness. And I spent a lot of time in meditation and kind of researching string theory. And even in the work that's presented tonight, I see all of these little threads of things that were kind of in common. And, so the basic idea is that we can all we can all implement love and repair the fabric of humanity, the cosmic fabric, the cosmic weaving. Yeah.
Cool. And so maybe you can tell us, so this is meant to be, one of the questions is, are these pieces meant to be live in the theater, or some are going to be video installations? So how do you envision this one ending up?
Well, for this particular one, I will create a layered performance that will be a visual mixtape, and that's going to be mailed out to people with a book. So it'll be like a limited edition,
like a
analog
physical
thing.
mixtape.
Yeah.
Oh.
I prefer to live in an analog world, even though, we're online 24/7 basically. And this year has been really hard for introverts who, have to have to be online like this. But yeah, it will be a video album, and so this time gave me the opportunity to explore stop motion and projections that would, light projections that would be behind me, because we're so limited in who and how we can collaborate. Stop motion makes it easier for me to be able to puppet and not have to physically manipulate the pieces. But some of my favorite explorations were the videos of just throwing things around. So we'll see how that works out.
Nice. Okay, and then also
I wanted to add something in regard to live performance and this particular presentation. We are in New York City, and some of us are coming from Chicago, from North Carolina, from Minneapolis. But the goal ultimately is that these works will be live on a stage. So I have already extended the invitation to everyone that you have just watched to come to La Mama and perform. Again, because where some people live, it might not be possible sooner than later. It might be later. But we do have a puppet festival that will come to La Mama in the fall. And I already spoke with Leah and Charlotte, who are New York-based artists, and they will present a continual work in progress live, hopefully live with an audience, please, I hope. And again, if we can get our out-of-towners here to New York City in the fall, that's great. If not this fall, there's always next fall. So yeah.
Yeah, and on that, so let's go to Leah, because you, at that piece, I recognize the space that it was in, which is the downstairs, and it looked so gorgeous. You have been molting for a while. I feel like the molting theme has been something that you've been working on for a while, right? So is this a continuation of your last piece, and is this like something that's you're gonna keep exploring for a while, or you feel like after you've done this molting, you'll be completely transformed and you want to work on something else?
Well, molting, I don't know. I think I will always be
You'll always be molting.
molting, exactly. And then also body parts. The first solo show I worked on, it was called molting, and I molded my body parts. And then that was my first time making my original work, because usually I work with other artists and then puppeteer for them. But this time I kind of, instead of I only molded my hands and feet. Besides that, I made everything out of cardboard. And I made it while we were in quarantine, stay at home. I was in Houston, so most of the body parts I made in Houston. I shipped it to New York, and then I started exploring. So I think I will always be doing something with molting body parts, something like that.
Nice. Nice. And just real quick, to address something on Facebook, someone wanted to know, how are we going to follow the progression of all these great pieces? And I would just say that La Mama's website, we have a resident artist page, and you can find everything that all of our resident artists are doing. And also on the Jumpstart, the show page on our website, you will have a bio of each of the artists, and you can look them up individually and maybe if you guys want to put in your Instagram handles or social medias in the chat, and I'll blast it out if you want to, we can do something like that too. There was another question for you, Leah. I'm trying to find. Oh, by the way, Leah, people are hooking you up already on Facebook. Like, I think it was Z Briggs. She put you in touch with Hannah Tierney because
No,
Hannah reached out to you, like commented, like they want to meet you, and so here's my email. And Z's like, yes, I'll connect you. So there you go.
I mean, I've been saying, I even told Federico, Denise, I was like, I've seen Hannah Tierney's work and I'm inspired, and she can, so that's why I was like, I want to do it solo, try to figure out streams.
Well,
so yes.
Now everybody knows you're going to be connected. So that's awesome. Good job.
Awesome.
Let's go to, another question we had, and I also had this. Oh, wait, hold on. One more for Leah. How many puppeteers run your puppet? Just two? How many puppeteers run your puppet? Just
One.
you, right? Just one.
Just me.
Wow.
Just me.
Amazing. Okay, another one that we had for Tom, which I had, is how do you plan to work the puppeteer? Okay, yes. Let's talk about the puppeteering the puppet, puppeteering the puppet.
Yeah, it's very meta. But I guess I could say really quick that, what I've shown, and really my residency has been focused on making that one crazy mechanism, which is kind of a double, a double kind of puppet, a puppeteer puppeting another puppet, puppeteering a puppet. But the piece itself is, started out and is going to be a kind of performance installation ritual. And it began actually making a piece for somebody who was a mentor and teacher at La Mama, and kind of is an outdoor piece which is on a wooden path in a spiral surrounded by shadow screens. And so really the piece is about kind of the journey of an artist, and about how in all of creation, there's only one planet in this creation that we know that supports human life. And on that one planet, there's only one crazy species that creates these figures, these instruments of art, and expresses them through the natural materials of the earth. So it's really a piece of kind of about the process of making, and the process of allowing and making performance based pieces, like things that perform, puppets and instruments. So I really hope I can perform it, outdoors in this kind of like installation puppet ritual type of way. And even more bonus points if I can light a fire at the end of it, which is how I've ended the performance when I've done the first versions of it up here in Chicago. So that's a little bit about this crazy show I'm making.
Cool. Let's go to, you said something about ritual, and that made me think of Denise and Federico's piece, because there was something ritualistic about how the puppet was interacting with the chef and with all of the food. It looked very sacred. Can you talk about that and maybe just the piece, give us a little more context for what we saw?
Yeah, well, the whole piece is inspired by an experience I have with my aunt, and the whole idea is to be able to talk about to die with dignity. And everything, the last part was this launch that we have, and I found the launch to be able to show the time and the process of being able to be thinking about the process of what was happening and the process of building the launch. So the puppet is kind of the movement that is inside of you, and is all the time trying to talk to the chef and found how the food is coming and in what part of the process we are. And the idea a little bit is to have the whole launch at the background of the show, and the show is happening on the front. So always that the process of time.
And also, I mean, just to kind of another layer of context to what you watched, as Federico just said, it is inspired a lot by the story of the final days of his aunt's life. And that was her real friend, Alberto, the man who you saw cooking. And he was actually the person who she asked to prepare her last meal. And that's what you saw was exactly what she asked him to make, and and what will eventually you'll see throughout the whole course of the play, that we will do the full version. The world premiere will actually happen in October. And this video of him preparing that last meal will run silently, sometimes in the back, so it will move through the space, and it's a kind of, as Federico was saying, a timeline of the afternoon, and it kind of shows this progression of I think life, no, the joys of all the things that we love and what we give up. And
yeah, process of time, the process of life, the process of beauty, and what we share, and we love to share all together. So I think that launch, to make the launch turn to be a very important. So it's going to be.
Yeah, it was so intimate watching the puppet watch the food. It was like the curiosity that the puppet had with just like a thing of garlic, it just made the garlic so much more mystical and magical. And yeah, someone was like, I'm hungry now. Are we gonna get to eat in the show? It's called Lunch with Sonia. Do we get lunch? In an ideal world, maybe not anymore, right?
Not anymore.
No. Okay, so we got to talk about Jeghetto and that crazy puppet painting. Don't think I've ever seen a puppet paint that well before. And then
there's a few painting puppeteers out there. There's a few.
Not brag about yours though. So what did he paint? This is an autobiographical piece, right?
Yes, it's titled "The Auto by Puppetry of Jeghetto." I've been working on my autobiography, and I figured this was the perfect time to actually do it. I was working on, just the labor of writing a book. And I was like, you know what? This sucks. It's not fun. I'm going to tell my life story through puppets and mixed media. So it'll start out as a child. I'm going to use whatever medium I use in that stage of life. I'm going to use that to tell the story. So as a small child, I'll be using pencils and crayons and markers to tell my youth story. And then this is my late teen, early 20s stage when I was a live performance painter. And then it'll graduate to the puppets. He actually has scale puppets to match him that are miniature puppets of my puppets. So I'm doing the meta thing like Tom, but it's going to incorporate shadow and anything that I can throw in there that would make sense and, melt into this gumbo of creative materials. I'll see, experiment with it and just, tell my story, because people have been telling me to tell my story for a few years now. I'm finally like, okay, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Stop beating me, I'll do it. So yeah, just and I just want to appreciate, Hanson Foundation and La Mama for giving me this space to do that in the way that I can, have fun doing it.
And Hannah Tierney is asking on Facebook if you always work in this manner, Tarish. She loves the intensity and focus of your work. And is this...
Oh, awesome. Yes, I love to just throw myself out there and say, okay, I'm a puppeteer and paint and do spoken word at the same time. So go. And my hand was shaking at first. I was like, oh no. I don't know if you've seen that. The brush was like shaking really. I just, took a deep breath and get over it and knocked it out. So I always challenge myself in public. Even, when I build a puppet, the first thing I do, I go busk on the streets and play with it and manipulate it in front of people and just learn it right there in public. So I'm always put myself under the microscope, if you will. So yeah, I love the intense deadlines and keep adding stuff. And yeah, I just love drama.
All
I'm the
right.
drama queen.
Of deadlines, Michael wants to know, Jeghetto, what is your next project going to be about? The next project.
The next project, I do not know. I'm working on several projects at one time because all my stage shows I'm converting over to film. So I have my son, well, he's 12, he's 13 last week. He's a puppeteer as well, so he helps me do my puppet filming here in the studio. So yeah, I have an installation actually coming up at Automata in LA, end of May, early June, May 26th through June 2nd, I believe is the schedule. So that's my next. I have so many projects in the works, so many irons in the fire. I'll get time to just pull one out and finish it. So I'm constantly working. So follow me on Instagram and you'll see all my works in progress.
All right, we had one more come in actually for Federico. Can you speak about working with bilingual text? I feel like that's something that you've done before, working with bilingual text, right?
Yeah, a little bit. In general, I don't use that much text in my work, but yeah, we're going to be working with both. We're going to be trying to find a way to mix it all the time, and each puppet and each character in a way is going to have a different way to go into the text, and probably some of them is going to come in Spanish and going into English, and that's the dream. And I think we're getting there, but not completely clear. But
at this point, the actress that will be the voice of Sonia throughout the piece in various moments, she is bilingual. So yeah, we are working on the moments when she'll speak in English or Spanish and how we kind of counterbalance that. Again, we don't use that much text, but there will be text in the piece. And for this piece, we felt that we wanted it to be bilingual. So the piece will be created in that spirit. So.
Cool. Man, this chat is everyone is super engaged and wants to know all about you guys. But for the sake of time, I actually want to open up the floor to our artists here and see if you guys want to ask each other any questions about each other's work, anything that you saw that stuck out to each other. We don't get much chance to have these kinds of showings and feedbacks and stuff like that. So here we are. And I'm just going to give you, space to respond to each other if you want to.
Ooh, can I say something? I'm going to start because what I love about seeing, first of all, this is an incredible group, just an incredible group of artists. And American puppetry sometimes is not a very diverse place, but I feel like this cohort of artists is so interesting, such amazing voices coming together. So thank you so much, Denise and La Mama and Henson's for just making this this happen with these folks. And what I love about watching the other pieces is puppetry is such a personal exploration, such a personal act, right? Sometimes I call it like the ultimate outsider art form, so I've noticed in each of the pieces, Federico's the way Federico cuts vegetables on the in that piece, and kind of the detail when you're watching Charlotte, not just from the shadows in front, but how she's using her body and the objects behind, the way Leah's just exploring on the floor there, all these intimate things that come about. The personal experience of the artist manipulating the object is really fascinating to me. So I just want to say thank you, because that's one of the things that popped out of the screen for me watching each person, wow, I can see the person who made this inside that work, inside those objects. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Nice. Anyone want to follow up on that beautifully articulated, profound statement?
I'll just say ditto, but I want to ask Charlotte, what was the apple made out of? That was kind of transparent.
About the fruit.
Yeah.
The apple is it's actually it almost looks like mesh if you look at the actual object. I think it was probably intended as a Christmas ornament, but as you all know in this room, when you're a puppet person, you're constantly seeing garbage on the street corner, or like people's stoop sales, or a broken thing that your friend is going to throw away when you happen to be visiting them, and you're like, no, this thing will be an amazing puppet. So that's how the apple came to me. I think I bought it at like an old lady was selling Christmas ornaments on a table, and I was like, this. She was like, isn't that pretty for the tree? And I was like, not for the tree, but yes.
Anybody else?
Well, since I'm already unmuted, I have a question for Leah, actually. Your protagonist, your body, is that a character that you had conceived before you made the body parts, or is it a character that you're meeting as you make the pieces of its self?
For this show, I did have an image of, I made a different puppet that I knew that it was going to be main character. I did not intend that these body parts will assemble the whole character, but now I do know that I want to create these body parts, and at the end it is her. And so I've been exploring with body parts, but mostly about like self, like, is it me, is it her, what is this? But now it's actually a different character. So yeah, and it's about like my grandma, or like, caretaker, daughter, mother, daughter, like those kind of layer of relationship. So yeah, kind of eventually I realized, okay, these body parts are one person. Yeah. But I'm still exploring, yes. And I'm so happy to be with everybody. These are incredible people. I learned so much.
Awesome. I have a real quick, yes, Leah's, that's crazy. Tom, you're a mad scientist. The flute mechanism, I'm watching that. Rebekah, beautiful. That's your voice, right? You're doing the music. Who's the rapper, the MC? Because he was killing it.
That's my husband, Chilam Balam. We collaborate on a lot of projects.
Nice, match made in heaven. Awesome. And the wire rod puppet, loved it. But yes, I'll stop.
I had a question for Tom. I wanted to hear you speak about your meta transition to the puppets and who they are, and also that you were on an extremely narrow plank. It looked like.
Yeah, very narrow plank.
If that's part of the intention for your set later.
It is. It's it's a dangerous operation, like riding that little train down a narrow flank. But I will say that the character that you see, who puppeteers the small flute player, in the progression of this installation, you first meet him as actually a woodcutter, and so he appears first alone, traveling on the plank. And then one of his first moments is to cut down a tree physically with an axe, and then take that to another station in the spiral and cut the limbs in half, and then move to another station where he begins to carve a puppet, and then move to another station where he assembles the puppet and brings out this version of playing the flute. And in backing all that kind of imagery up on these large kind of cranky shadow screens made by Blair Thomas are images of how artists take natural materials like wood for puppetry and bamboo to make the shakuhachi flute that the puppet's playing. So it's once again, it's kind of like a creation story from the artist's perspective, and I think, as you mentioned too, there's a kind of cosmic kind of connection with that. And I think in your piece and in Charlotte's piece, I think in all pieces, there's kind of that thing that kind of is a bigger thing about this creative place one is in when you make something with your hands, you know. So that's a little bit about who that figure is. He is, like, for me, like the embodiment of this human desire to make and to build and then to perform with that thing which you've made, you know. And also not fall off the trail while you're on a little wheeled cart.
Or run over any chickens. I saw a couple in the
Yeah,
background.
those are chickens in our backyard too. I love, you know, that was the other thing, because, like, you know, we're on this freaking Zoom all the time, and I was like, I gotta do a piece that happens outside. And in our yard, you know, my lovely landlord, we have, you know, each of the kids got a chicken or chick, and now they're laying eggs. So I just thought they should be in the background.
It's great. I loved it. Federico has a question, I think, for Rebekah.
Oh yeah, when you singing, in what language you singing?
I was singing in Lencaputum, which is it's an endangered language. People are still speaking it, but really, I took the text from a document called The Last Lenca Speaker, and I could read the, you know, I could read between the lines that it was an old lady who was being interviewed, and she was so sad, and she was she was also yelling at the cat in the corner and things like that. But, you know, it was just this conversation where she was so sad. And so it's really like a call on the telephone to our ancestors, you know, and if we can still speak with them in another way.
Oh, sounds so beautiful. The sound of the language is incredible. Thank you.
I think we got to start wrapping up, but there was one more question that was meant for Leah, but I think maybe we can all riff on it because it's a really nice, simple question, but I think I already know the answers, but I'd like to hear all of you articulate it. And the question was, where is the question? Does this new limited space now affect your imagination? And I think I know what I would say, but I want to hear what you guys would say. How has all of these limitations affected your imagination? And that can be sort of our like nice ending moment. Whoever can go.
The smaller space actually expanded my realm of creativity because it's claustrophobic and I'm constantly pushing outward. So I'm just extending and extending, and it's borderless now. So that's my quick answer.
That's sort of what I thought it would be, yeah.
Yeah, I would say I would just jump on that, because I think I feel the same way. As hard as this time has been, the kind of concentration of it has just allowed me to kind of really go into some things that I always really wanted to explore and to make as a puppeteer, and also to do those as a solo puppeteer, since I've done a lot of work with like big groups of puppeteers. So I think I've been finding the silver lining in it, and trying to focus on kind of giving myself the freedom and time to make something that I can do by myself, you know.
I've been having almost the same experience. I'm very happy because I've been able to really work, and I'm building these new puppets and making them in things that I thought for a long time, but I never have enough time to spend doing it. So in that sense, it's been wonderful. But everything that I've been building is dreaming to be outside with many people playing with me. So that's the only difference. No? I'm grateful for the time I have now, but I miss the outside.
For me, I mean, I feel like everybody said similar thoughts, but I wasn't in New York when the pandemic happened. So, I mean, I moved, so I also had limited materials to play with, but I shouldn't say limited. It was just what can I play with in my home? And so I was drawn to those things and started creating. And so from there, you go crazy. So yeah, possibility is always there.
For me too, it's very similar to you all. I feel that I feel like we have all been forced to isolate, and actually that's created more connections that weren't there before, that are taken up by the busy of everything. But I really miss the ritual of the stage and the exchange of energy, and like this is an experimental theater. I miss just jumping onto stage and seeing what happens, what's created with the audience, and the way that that our work is impacted. Like I'm thinking about you, Federico, and then the way that a ritual performance is impacted on the space and the people that are able to participate.
Yeah, I feel similar. As Rebekah was describing, it's like the show, like none of us are filmmakers, we're theater makers by trade, by choice. And part of that being called to theater is it's the interaction. It's not just, I mean, yes, of the people and the puppets on stage with you and the people playing the music but also with the audience. And they give as much energy in a lot of ways as they take. But from Leah, I love that you said the crazy. I feel the crazy ideas. Having ideas has never ever been a problem. So I think what's cool about the isolation is that there was so much life to be doing, and there was, like, let's go teach a thing, and let's go see a show, and let's go meet our friends for dinner and picnics and stuff. So having more time, being like, well, I've got plenty of ideas. There's no reason to sit here idly, watching the millionth Netflix show. Like, I'm gonna make a cranky today. I'm gonna started writing a different play. But oh my goodness, here's to being back together also. and continuing to be prolific. But maybe we can decide when it's time to stay home and work and not just have to do that all the time.
Yes, thank you. Yes, cheers to being back together, hopefully very soon. Denise, I mean, as you know, thank you for getting this bunch together. Do you have any last words to say?
For me, this is a kind of a works in progress presentation. So for me, this is not the end of my relationships with everyone here, and it's just the beginning, really. So until we meet next time, and we're going to keep working together and knowing each other and being in each other's world. So thank you again for sharing your 6 months with me.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, everyone that was watching out there. We saw all of the shout outs from Basil, from Hani, from Cheryl, everybody. It was like a real audience tonight. Everyone was super engaged, and everyone wants to follow all of your work. So again, you can jump onto La Mama's website. There's a Jumpstart page. It has all of the artists. You can find out all about them, and definitely stalk them, their Instagram, and keep in touch. Sign up for our emails. We'll always be emailing what's going on next, and we'll have more of these showings as we continue. So thank you, all of you, for being here, and thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Pierce, behind the scenes, operating the tech, and let's have a fabulous rest of your Tuesday evening, and bye, everybody.